I am so honored to be able to share the appreciation and the tremendous appreciation of our county government and our entire community for the tens of thousands of heroes who are working every day at our regulatory agencies and our research agencies and NIH and FDA. Um, we have two proclamations today, and I'm glad the county executive is here. We've invited him to share a few comments before we actually begin to read the proclamations. And I'm very pleased we're joined by two officials from the agencies. We have Dr. Tabak. He's the Principal Deputy Director for the NIH and the Deputy Ethics Counselor for the agency. And we also have Mr. Sieg. James Sieg is the Chief Operating Officer at the FDA. So I just wanted to take a moment today on behalf of a grateful community, both locally and globally. It is such an honor to recognize the outstanding work and dedicated employees of both the NIH and the FDA. We are not only proud that these agencies and their employees are located in Montgomery County, but we understand that as our family members, our friends, and our neighbors, they are a big part of what makes Montgomery County special. We celebrate our role as a community of purpose-driven people, and the amazing employees of NIH and FDA exemplify that spirit. Today's proclamation acknowledges these institutes and agencies' outstanding contribution to the county and the nation. We hear daily about the progress that each is making in solving the COVID-19 pandemic. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. Apologize. I'll begin with NIH. NIH employs approximately 20,000 FTEs plus contractors, including research scientists, nurses, patient care staff, scientific review officers, grants management officials, and people serving in any number of administrative functions like budget, acquisitions, legal, human resources, security, etc. NIH is the largest biomedical research agency in the world. Receiving this proclamation for NIH is Dr. Lawrence Tabak, as I mentioned, the Principal Deputy Director of NIH and the Deputy Ethics Counselor for the agency. Mr. County Executive, I'd like to ask you to share some reflections.
Look, I'm really grateful to be here. I'm grateful to live in Montgomery County where we have these institutions. Everybody there has done relatively amazing work in an incredibly difficult climate. Between the COVID and between the politics of the last year, people who do medicine have struggled to be free to just do medicine. But they kept the focus on the work they were doing and have continued to, I think, help bring forward, progress in this field that we will see. We're not going to see it tomorrow, but we will see the results of all this work in the coming year. And we will emerge in a better place. And we'll emerge in a better place because of the dedication of this workforce, their commitment to science, their commitment to getting things right, and the leadership, which has just been unswerving in making sure that these agencies function in a way that serves the best interests of all of the American people. And it's so great to have these in Montgomery County. You bring a wealth of knowledge to this county. You shine a light on this county. We talk about things that make Montgomery County special. The presence of these agencies is one of the things that makes Montgomery County special. Most people would die to have the center of science and health science in their counties. And we are fortunate that these resources are here. We do our best to provide the best environment for the people who work at these institutions, but we know that the work they do is just beyond our ability to reward in any normal way. When I think about the people I've met who actually do the scientific work, none of them are going to get rich for it. None of them are going to win a Nobel Prize for it. But they're out there every day trying to make sure that they can do things that change the course of health in this country and in the world. So I'm really appreciative of their dedication. I'm appreciative of being in the center of life science industries in general, where the work in NIH and FDA can be amplified, and where you've got the people, the creators, working with the regulatory folks and researchers, and it's just it's a great place to be. I got to say, at this moment in history, it is a wonderful place to be, to see this assembled and operating here in the county. So thank you very much for everything you do. Please let all the folks who work in your agencies know how much we appreciate what they do. Thank you.
Thank you. So I will read the proclamation and then introduce Dr. Tabak. Whereas the National Institutes of Health, NIH, is an agency within the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and is headquartered in Montgomery County. The county is proud of the work and dedicated efforts of the NIH staff towards the mission of improving human health during the COVID-19 public health emergency. And whereas NIH has demonstrated its commitment to support the critical research required to develop and approve vaccines, treatments, and testing, while safeguarding the tens of thousands of Marylanders who work there. The management and implementation of all available resources towards these efforts have been exemplary and performed with speed and integrity. And whereas NIH scientists acted swiftly to improve our state of knowledge of COVID-19 and develop an mRNA-based vaccine candidate within weeks of knowing the genomic sequence. NIH has supported the invention of rapid and point-of-care COVID-19 testing technologies. The NIH has also been a leader in public and private partnerships, such as the Accelerating COVID-19 Therapeutics and Interventions and Vaccines and Operation Warp Speed, to develop groundbreaking approaches to speed the development of candidate vaccines, therapeutics, and new diagnostic tests. And whereas leading scientists from NIH gave the residents of Montgomery County and the country timely and accurate information about the virus so individuals could make decisions to protect themselves and their families, and policymakers could react on the basis of evidence. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Montgomery County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, honors the dedicated men and women of the National Institutes of Health for their efforts to combat the global pandemic of 2020, presented on this 10th day of November in 2020. Thank you. Now, I would like to introduce, to receive our proclamation, Dr. Tabak is as I mentioned, the Principal Deputy Director at NIH. And prior to that role, he was the Director of the National Institute of Dental and Craniofacial Research from 2000 to 2010. He has provided leadership for numerous trans-NIH activities, including the NIH Roadmap effort to support team science, the NIH Directors Initiative to enhance peer review, NIH's American Recovery and Reinvestment Act implementation, the NIH Initiative to enhance rigor and reproducibility in research, and the NIH-wide strategic plan. He co-chaired working groups of the Advisory Committee to the Director of NIH on the diversity of the biomedical research workforce, the long-term intramural research program, and currently is co-chair of both the Next Generation Researchers Initiative and High Risk, High Reward research working groups. Prior to joining NIH, Dr. Tabak was the Senior Associate Dean for Research and Professor of Dentistry and Biochemistry and Biophysics in the School of Medicine and Dentistry at the University of Rochester in New York. He's a former NIH merit recipient, and his major research focus has been on the structure, biosynthesis, and function of glycoproteins. He continues work in this area, maintaining an active research laboratory within the NIH intramural program, in addition to his administrative duties, and he's an elected member of the National Academy of Medicine. So, Dr. Lawrence Tabak, thank you.
Well, thank you, and good morning. I greatly appreciate the invitation today, and thank you for recognizing the dedication and hard work of the staff of the NIH. As the Principal Deputy Director of the agency, I have seen firsthand the ingenuity and commitment to excellence exhibited by everyone at NIH, from the hospital cafeteria to the research labs, from the power plant to the intensive care unit. I've never been as proud of NIH as I have been watching how my agency has risen to the challenge of the COVID-19 global pandemic. With the urgent need for medical interventions and new diagnostic tests, shutting down was never an option. And so from the very beginning, we have had three intersecting goals: to develop vaccines and therapies with all possible speed, to develop the next generation of tests to detect SARS-CoV-2, and to keep our employees safe and healthy. I'm pleased to report that so far we've been successful. Under the leadership of Doctors Francis Collins, Tony Fauci, Gary Gibbons, Chris Austin, and Bruce Tromberg, as well as others, we have convened the leading minds across government, the global pharmaceutical industry, academia, and foundations to ensure that effort was not duplicative and that no evidence was missed. NIH research proved the efficacy of remdesivir, which is now standard of care, and has facilitated the entry of 4 vaccine candidates into phase 3 clinical trials. And we fully expect to get efficacy data from the 2 leading candidates before the end of the calendar year. A number of new point of care tests for the virus have now been developed, adding millions of tests to our capacity to help keep people from spreading the virus. And while doing this critical work, the COVID-19 test positivity rate amongst our staff has consistently been lower than our surrounding communities across all of our campuses nationwide. And although we have research facilities in Montana and North Carolina and Phoenix, we are very, very proud to have our headquarters and the majority of our operations here in Montgomery County. Your recognition today will mean a great deal to the thousands of NIHers who call Montgomery County home. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Dr. Tabak. I'm so glad you're here. And again, we're so grateful for the daily work of the heroes of your agency. I'll now read the proclamation for the for the FDA. We are joined by Mr. Sieg. Whereas the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, is an agency within the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, with its headquarters campus located in Montgomery County. And the county is proud of the work and dedicated efforts that the staff of FDA have performed during the COVID-19 public health emergency. And whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has created significant new challenges, and the FDA has demonstrated its commitment to use all available resources towards response efforts, and the staff have been exemplary and performed with speed, integrity, and the assurance of safety to address this evolving emergency. And whereas the FDA has facilitated the development of tests to diagnose infections and has provided exemplary oversight of test accuracy and reliability, has taken numerous actions to help increase supplies of medical equipment and personal protective equipment needed to fight COVID-19 and protect healthcare workers, has facilitated the development and availability of other medical devices and therapeutics to combat COVID-19, and has provided exemplary oversight and regulation of vaccine quality, effectiveness, and safety, helping to facilitate the timely development of COVID-19 vaccines. And whereas the FDA has continued to play a critical role in both accelerating development of and enabling access to medical countermeasures to treat and prevent COVID-19 by educating, collaborating, and communicating with clinicians, consumers, healthcare organizations, and other partners across the U.S., as well as preventing fraudulent COVID-19 products, including ineffective diagnostics, treatments, and PPE from entering the country at our nation's port of entry. Now therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby honors the dedicated staff of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, presented on this 10th day of November, signed by Council President Sidney Katz and myself. And to accept the proclamation, I am grateful that we are joined by Mr. James Sieg. He's the Food and Drug Administration Chief Operating Officer, the position he has held previously from January to April of 2012. In this role, he maintains oversight of FDA's information technology, ethics, equal employment opportunity, human resources, safety and security, facilities, acquisition, and financial management programs for the agency worldwide. Mr. Sieg has been with the FDA for 24 years, most recently serving as the Associate Director for Management, Executive Officer, and Director of the Office of Management in the Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, CBER, since 2008. In these roles, he managed CBER's annual budget of $300 million and provided executive leadership in the areas of workforce development, budget formulation and execution, resource management, program planning and evaluation, and other administrative services that support the public health mission. Mr. Sieg advised CBER's director and senior executives on center-wide administrative functions, including financial management, human resources, and procurement. Under his leadership, he strategically managed the move of over 1,100 employees and contractors, 70 laboratories, and approximately 14,000 research animals from 8 locations to the White Oak FDA campus with no disruption to critical regulatory administrative operations. Throughout his tenure at FDA, Mr. Sieg has held various positions within CBER, including Contract Liaison Officer, Special Assistant to the Director of the Office of Management, and Deputy Director of the Office of Management. He earned a BS in Business Management from St. Francis College, and has been the recipient of 3 Commissioner's Special Citation Awards for his contributions in leading improvements to human resources efforts, and he received the FDA Award of Merit in 2013 for his extraordinary leadership in managing fiscal responsibilities and staffing. Mr. Sieg.
Thank you, Councilman Riemer. Good morning. My name is Jim Sieg, and I serve as the Deputy Commissioner for Operations and Chief Operating Officer at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. I'm honored to be here today to accept this proclamation on behalf of the thousands of dedicated public health professionals at FDA, and I want to thank Councilman Riemer and the entire county council for their recognition. As this council has recognized, FDA employees are a dedicated group of civil servants who have worked tirelessly to fight the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Since the beginning of the pandemic, FDA has been working to facilitate the development and availability of medical products and equipment for use by patients, physicians, and healthcare systems as expeditiously and safely as possible. From the first emergency use authorization for our diagnostic testing to the recent approval of remdesivir for certain COVID-19 patients. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of collaborative partnerships between federal, state, and local officials to protect the public health, especially now. Much of the work to combat COVID-19 would not be possible without your dedicated efforts at the county level, and we look forward to continuing to work with all of you on COVID-19 and other public health issues. Many of the FDA staff this proclamation recognizes not only work at our White Oak campus and other locations in Montgomery County, but many are also residents of the county. As a result, the steps that the state of Maryland and Montgomery County have taken to control the spread take on an added significance in protecting the health of all Americans, as FDA staff are on the front lines in the nationwide response to the pandemic. We appreciate the steps Montgomery County has taken to control the spread in the immediate community. At FDA, we have taken necessary steps to protect the health and well-being of our staff by implementing policies and practices that require wearing face coverings and social distancing, and continue to offer our staff the opportunity for maximum telework. I witness every day the tireless effort being put forth by FDA employees in our offices, laboratories, and those who are working remotely to respond to this pandemic, as well as by FDA employees who support them with safe facilities, effective information technology, personal security, and other critical support services to achieve this FDA mission. Finally, I would like to emphasize FDA's appreciation for the relationship we have with Montgomery County as we work cooperatively to support ongoing improvements to the eastern portion of the county and transportation management initiatives, such as the new bus rapid transit system on the US 29 corridor, a project vital to FDA commuters. Once again, on behalf of all FDA staff, thank you for this recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Sieg. Really appreciate your work and the work of everyone at FDA. Thank you for being with us today.